Hi, I'm Arnold. I'm 37. I drive nights, know the city by pothole and pulse, and last Christmas, I became that guy. The one who kicked his own family out on Christmas morning with nothing but a PDF and a folding table full of labeled boxes. But let me back up. It started with a toilet brush. That's not a metaphor. It was an actual plastic-handled scrubber my mother handed my son while my niece was unwrapping a MacBook like she just won a game show. Max blinked at me like, wait. Is this real life? And when he asked if that was normal, I didn't say, we'll talk later. Or, be polite. Or, family is complicated. I said, not for long. And I meant it. That night, while everyone else was sleeping off peppermint bark and passive aggression, I sat at the kitchen table with a laptop and a folder I'd labeled Someday. I moved one file to my desktop and hit submit. Deed transfer. My name back on the house my mother had once begged me to help her refinance. She called it a formality. Turns out it wasn't. At 7 a.m. the next morning, with snow still on the eaves and leftover ham in the fridge, I sent a single message to the family thread. Brunch is at our place. You have 30 minutes to pack what's yours. My wife Mira blinked at me over her coffee. You serious? Completely. She nodded. Okay then. They came in stunned, offended, like I'd cancelled Christmas by telling the truth out loud. Leia called it petty. Jason talked about equity again, this time emotional. My mom said I was making a scene. I handed them a one-page agreement: keep your stuff in my garage, respect my family, or don't. They thought I was bluffing. I wasn't. And if you think that's where the drama ended, oh no. That was just the warm-up act. The first person to break the stunned silence was Jason, which is fitting because Jason talks like he's billing by the syllable. You know this is illegal, he said, arms crossed in a Patagonia vest like he thought it doubled his armor. You can't just evict people on Christmas. I'm not evicting anyone, I said, calm as a windshield wiper in light rain. I'm collecting what's mine. And giving you the opportunity to collect what's yours. Leia gasped like I'd slapped her. My mom made a sound I can only describe as a wounded violin. Mira stepped beside me, holding a tray of muffins like she was auditioning for the part of reasonable hospitality in a play called Family Chaos and Other Natural Disasters. There's coffee, she said brightly. Help yourselves while you review the terms. No one moved. Max peeked around the corner, eyes wide, mouth full of cereal. Ava whispered, Is this the part where we get grounded or the part where we clap? I gave her a wink. Mom finally stepped forward, grabbed the printed agreement, scanned it like it was written in Latin, and declared, This is ridiculous. We're family. We don't do contracts. You're right, I said. We didn't. That's why this happened. I pointed toward the pile of scrub brushes still on our kitchen counter like ghosts of last night's favoritism. Now we do. Leia rolled her eyes so hard they might have sprained. You're punishing us because the twins got MacBooks and your kids didn't. No, I said. I'm drawing a line because you treated my kids like second-class citizens in their own family. And then laughed about it. Jason opened his mouth, probably to say something about entrepreneurship or scarcity mindsets, but I held up a hand. Don't. Please don't. I know how many times you've told Max money comes to those who think rich. The only thing he got from that was a headache and a Google search that ended in please stop talking to my son. My mom stepped in like a referee who just realized the home team might actually lose. Arnold, she said, you're being cruel. Christmas is for togetherness. No, I said. Christmas is for children. And mine aren't your lesson plans. She blinked. Leia scoffed. Jason snorted. Mira said quietly, You have 20 minutes left. Then, like it had been choreographed by divine pettiness, Ava walked up and stuck a sticker on one of the boxes. It was a glittery snowflake. This one's for Auntie Leia, she said cheerfully. Seasonal decor. I watched my mother's face crack. Not break. Not crumble. Just crack. And we hadn't even gotten to the porch showdown yet. The porch showdown started at 7:59 a.m. on the dot, like some sick cosmic appointment. The snow was still fresh, our breath visible, and the sound of tape being ripped off boxes felt like punctuation marks in a silent fight. Jason came out first, lugging a labeled bin that read, Leia/Jason, seasonal crap. He muttered under his breath like a man doing math he didn't want to understand. I hope your kids never turn on you like this, he said, not looking at me. I nodded. I hope so too. That's why I'm showing them how to stand up. Next was Leia, holding a box of Santa plates like they personally betrayed her. You're doing this in front of the children, she hissed. No, Mira said from the doorway, arms crossed but face calm. You did that when you handed Max a toilet brush and laughed. You're overreacting. Still reacting, I said. You just never noticed before. Then came my mom. She stood at the door for a full 5 seconds before stepping out like a movie villain giving a final monologue. She was dressed in the same robe from earlier, face pale, eyes pinched. This isn't you, she said. You're not this cold. I'm not cold, I said. I'm done. After everything I've done for you? Mom, list one thing you've done for Max and Ava in the last year that wasn't performative, passive-aggressive, or posted to Facebook. She froze. Silence. Then, I raised you. And you taught me that loyalty means silence, I said. Well, I'm breaking that lesson. Ava was standing behind Mira, holding the edge of her hoodie like it was armor. Max sat on the stairs, watching, his face unreadable in that preteen way that scares you because you know they're memorizing everything. I turned to them. Guys, what did we say? Max stood up. Boundaries, he said, voice steady. Ava chimed in. And consequences. Jason snorted. Oh good, turning your kids into lawyers. I'm turning them into people who won't need therapy for Christmases, I said. Then I pointed to the porch. 10 more minutes. Whatever's left after that goes in the shed for 30 days. After that, donation center. Mom's voice cracked. You'll regret this. I already regret letting it go on this long. She stared at me like she was trying to blink her power back into place. It didn't work. She turned and went back inside without another word. I looked at Mira. Still think I'm overreacting? She shook her head. I think this is the sanest thing we've ever done. And then Ava handed Leia a glitter pen that had rolled out of a box. Here, she said. It's labeled yours. Leia looked at her like she was a foreign language. That was the moment I knew, this wasn't just a rebellion. It was a re-education. And class had officially started. At 8:13 a.m., they were gone. Not just out the door, gone. Jason's car peeled out like he'd won something. Leia didn't say goodbye. My mom lingered on the porch for exactly 12 seconds, staring at our uneven wreath like it had cursed her personally, then muttered, Fine, and followed. Max exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for an entire year. We stood there, the four of us, in the doorway of a house that suddenly felt 300 pounds lighter. No gold bows, no glitter-drenched entitlement. Just cinnamon toast, coffee that hadn't gone cold, and a pair of kids looking at us like maybe we were superheroes. You okay? I asked Max. He nodded, then shook his head, then shrugged like he wasn't sure what feelings were appropriate. They're not mad at me, right? He asked. They're mad at themselves and aiming it at everyone else, Mira said, gently brushing his hair back. That's not your problem. Ava had already moved on. She was building a fort in the living room with couch cushions and the kind of focus that made me wonder if she'd one day negotiate labor contracts. Mira wrapped her arms around my waist. You did it. I didn't win anything, I said. You didn't have to, she said. You just finally said no. We sat down at the kitchen table. There were leftover cookies. Max poured milk. I opened my laptop, not to file legal paperwork this time, but to check my ride log. No urgent fares. Just a normal Monday. Except now I had a signed agreement in a folder called Respect, a shed full of unwanted Santa plates, and, for the first time in years, a sense that the air inside my house belonged to us. I got up to check the front door. No one out there. No one banging on the frame, demanding access. Just the wind. And quiet. Which is when the text started. First. And Paula. Heard you evicted your mother. Classy. Then. Cousin Nisha. Mom says you went nuclear over a laptop. Followed by. Jason through a Gmail account that definitely wasn't a lawyer. This is harassment. You'll be hearing from my real attorney. I laughed. Actually laughed. Then I made a new folder. Named it Noise. That's where all those emails went. Labeled archived, ignored. Mira took the phone from my hand. Off. Now. Family detox. That's in order. We went for a walk around the block. It was cold and perfect and uneventful. Nobody said anything that felt like a trap. Back home, Ava taped a piece of paper to the fridge. It said, "Family rules. No toilet talk. No gold children. Cinnamon toast every Saturday." I added a fourth rule in my own handwriting. Respect isn't optional. Max gave it a thumbs up. That night, we watched Home Alone. Max said, "He had a pretty good plan." Mira said, "So did your dad." And I thought, Kevin used paint cans. I used paperwork. Same energy. 3 days later, the first package arrived. Unmarked. Just a cardboard box left crooked on our porch like guilt trying to look casual. Inside were 3 things: a tinsel wreath, 1 Santa plate wrapped in a dish towel, and a folded piece of paper that just said, "You took this too far." No name, no return address. The handwriting was my mother's. I stood there for a moment holding the plate, wondering if it was a threat or a peace offering. Mira walked by, glanced down, and said, "Trash or thrift store?" "Thrift," I said. "Let someone else figure out what to do with it." That night, I made a quiet decision. I wasn't going to respond to anything that didn't come with effort. Words were cheap. Actions had to cost something. So when my mom posted a photo on Facebook of the twins reading a library book by candlelight with the caption, "Not all gifts glow," I didn't engage. When Leia updated her status to, "Some people weaponize generosity," I didn't flinch. And when Jason sent an email that began, "I looked into landlord law," and ended with a screenshot from Reddit, I just added it to the Noise folder and went to bed. But not before I opened my shoebox of receipts, the actual ones, and sorted them. Max's cleat replacements. Ava's art kit. The orthodontist's copay. Every check I wrote for my mom's plumbing issues and Leia's emergencies that somehow always had my name in the memo line. I scanned them all. Made a digital file. Labeled it history, just so I wouldn't forget how often I'd been the fallback plan. It wasn't about collecting debts. It was about building a backbone. The next day, I drove the airport shift. First fare was a nurse flying home after 12 straight nights. Second was a woman in tears because her brother's new fiancé banned her from the wedding group chat. Third was a man who sat silently until the very end, then said, "You ever just stop talking to your family for a while?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Did it help?" I looked in the rearview mirror and said, "Eventually." Later, while filling up the cab, I checked my messages. Ava had texted me a photo. It was her, Max, and Mira sitting at the kitchen table with Jenga bricks in mid-collapse. Her caption? "We're still winning." I didn't respond right away. I just stared at it, smiling like an idiot next to a gas pump. That night, Mira and I sat on the couch under an old blanket, drinking tea that had gone a little cold but still tasted like home. She leaned her head on my shoulder and said, "It's weird, right? The silence?" "Yeah. But good weird? The best kind." She looked at me and said, "Do you miss them?" I thought for a long time before I answered. I missed the version of them I kept hoping they'd be. And then, because I'd earned it, I didn't say another word. By the end of January, the group chat was officially on life support. Ghost town energy. No more photos of casseroles made with love and zero help, no more passive-aggressive holiday recaps. Just the occasional stray message from a second cousin that read like a hostage note. "Hope everyone's doing well." No one replied. It was beautiful. The real shift came one Sunday afternoon when Max asked if he could go to chess club and coding class, because my brain gets bored doing only one thing. We were sitting in the living room. Mira looked at me, eyebrow raised. "You okay with the extra gas and time?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "We'll figure it out." Max nodded and went back to his notebook like it was already solved. The kid drew diagrams for fun. I used to think that kind of mind would get crushed by the family dynamic we had before. Now I thought he might be fine. Maybe even better than fine. The next weekend, Ava taped a second sheet of paper to the fridge. It read, Family rules updated. 5. Boundaries can be fun. 6. Screens are okay when it's cold. 7. No talking down, only talking across. Mira looked at it and said, She's been listening. She's always listening, I said. We just finally gave her something worth hearing. That Monday, my mom texted a photo of the twins making pancakes and the words, No chores today. Just fun. It wasn't an apology. But it also wasn't a dig. I hearted it. Small wins? I didn't expect peace. Not from people who define family by what you owe them. But I hoped for quiet, and we got that in spades. The kind of quiet where you can hear yourself think. The kind where Ava sings to the dog while brushing its fur. The kind where Max says thank you, unprompted because he sees we're not exhausted anymore. We went to Sunday dinner at my mom's the next week. 4 plates. 1 centerpiece. No place cards. No twins. You're keeping it simple? I asked. She said, For now. Mira brought salad. Max helped set the table. Ava made a toast. To rules that are fair. My mom smiled, tight but real. To fair, she said, and she meant it. Or was trying to. After dessert, she pulled me aside and said, It's hard, you know. Admitting I didn't do it right. You did what you knew, I said. Now you know better. She nodded. Leia's not speaking to me. That's between you and her. She says you turned me against her. No, I said. She did that by herself. I just stopped pretending it was okay. My mom looked at the living room, where Mira and the kids were playing Jenga again. Do you still want me in their lives? She asked, quiet. Yes, I said. If you're willing to be in it, not over it. She sat down next to me. I'll try. And this time, it didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a truce. February hit with a cold front and a truce that held, uneasy but intact. The kind of peace that required maintenance, like a drafty old window you learn to live with because the light's too good to seal it shut. My mom didn't text daily, which was her way of showing restraint. And when she did message, it was all neutral ground. Do you want the slow cooker back? Max might like this article, Science Kids in Finland. Tell Ava her drawing is still on my fridge. I responded with appropriate warmth. No heat, no ice. Leia, on the other hand, remained a Category 5 silence. Jason sent one more email with mediation in the subject line, and I filed it under noise without even opening it. Every week or two, Mira would peek into the shed where their remaining boxes sat untouched. Nothing had been claimed. Not even the Santa plates. Then, one snowy Thursday night, I got a ride request. Downtown pickup. Female passenger, standing outside a closed cafe, arms folded, hoodie pulled up. I rolled down the window. Hey there, warm seat waiting. She slid in without a word, stared straight ahead. A beat passed. Then she said, You're Arnold, right? I looked over. It was Nisha, one of Leia's college friends. I hadn't seen her since that disastrous Easter where Leia made Ava clean up sprinkles off the floor while the twins got gold foil baskets. I said. Hey. I heard what happened, she said, soft but not unkind. You and everyone else, apparently. She gave a half laugh. Good. It needed to happen. I blinked. What? She shrugged. I've been around long enough to know the hierarchy. You just changed it. There was a silence after that. Not awkward. Just Truth sitting in the back seat like a quiet guest. At the drop-off, she turned to me. Your daughter, she's gonna be tough in the best way. Yeah, I said. That's the plan. When I got home, Ava had taped another update to the fridge. Family rules, final for now. 8. No guilt gifts. 9. Speak up. 10. Pizza counts as a holiday meal. Mira had initialed the bottom like a contract. Max had doodled a chess pawn holding a sword. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. The next day, we went to a school fundraiser. Max ran a booth teaching kindergartners how to code in Scratch. Ava sold glitter slime for $2 a cup. My mom showed up late with cocoa and a stack of $1 bills to support fair capitalism, whatever that meant. She handed Max a wrapped book, nonfiction, space stuff, and said, "No strings, okay?" "Okay," he said, already unwrapping it. She turned to Ava. "Do I get a hug?" Ava tilted her head. "Did you bring more slime jars?" My mom blinked. Then smiled. "In the car." "Then yes," Ava said, and hugged her with both arms. We didn't announce reconciliation. We just lived it. A few boxes left in the shed, a few fences still shaky. But the blueprint had changed. Max asked that night, "Is this what fair looks like?" "No," I said. "This is what earning fair looks like." He nodded like he understood. I think he did. 3 months later, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. An actual envelope with a stamp, addressed in my mother's careful cursive like she was writing to a pen pal she didn't want to lose. Inside was a single sheet of paper, no greeting, no signature. Just a typed line. "I ordered a Chromebook from Max. Not a MacBook. But it does the job. Hope that's okay." I showed it to Mira at the kitchen table while the kids were doing homework. She smiled. "She's trying." "She is," I said. "She really is." The next day, a slim package arrived. No fanfare. No glitter. Just a refurbished Chromebook in a plain box. Max opened it like it was gold. Not because it was fancy, but because it fit. It fit the life we were building. The one where respect didn't come with a receipt, and boundaries didn't require an apology. Later that night, Mira and I sat on the porch. The kind of spring night where the air smells like pavement drying and tiny victories. "You think it'll last?" she asked. "I think we'll make it last," I said. I looked at the porch light I'd finally replaced, the chipped railing I was planning to repaint, the dog snoring in the corner like he just signed a peace treaty with the world. This was home. Not the building. Not the title. The pattern we were building inside it. The next time we went to my mom's house, the twins were already there. They brought a board game and asked Max if he wanted to team up. No phones. No cameras. Just pieces scattered across a table and kids figuring out how to be cousins again without a scoreboard. After dinner, my mom handed Ava a folded dish towel and said, "Want to help me dry?" "Not have to. Just want to." Ava nodded and said, "Only if I get to pick the podcast." They disappeared into the kitchen. Max leaned over to me and whispered, "She's different. She's learning," I said. He nodded like that made sense. When we got home, Ava taped one last note to the fridge. Family rules, certified. 11. Real change is slow. 12. But it counts. 13. Also, no one tells us who we are. I read it twice. Then I kissed Mira on the forehead, gave Max a fist bump, and took the trash out with a weird smile on my face. This was our new normal. No throne chairs. No scepters. No golden children and toilet brushes. Just love that didn't need to be proven. Respect that didn't ask for silence. And the kind of father who'd put his body between his kids and a bad pattern, even on Christmas morning. People ask what changed. Not much. Just everything. Because when someone says, "Golden children get gifts," I smile, sip my coffee, and say, "Not anymore." Then I check my mirrors, put the car in drive, and head home.